Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Mastis32210, and my new catchphrase, I repurpose junk, and that's exactly what we're going to be working on today. Let me flip you around, I'm going to show you what we're working on. This bicycle has been on my channel, well not this particular one, in a sorts. The original, I did a video probably over a year ago where I took a girl's beach cruiser and turned it into a boy's style. Basically, most girls' frames have a double down tube, where the boys' style has one down tube and one top tube. And I had motorized it. I took it apart in another bicycle that I had that was given to me, and it was an awful job on redoing the frame. They had it super raked, where when you would hit a bump with the front tire, you're popping that front tire up in the air. And we got to be buzzing around my camera as we speak. But getting back on subject, I did most of this off camera, and something tells me I'm going to be building a couple more of these, so I will be more than happy to. I want to show the frame how I did it. Since I don't have any local steel yards that are close to me, I went up to the local Ace Hardware in town, and I purchased a 21-foot stick of 3/4 inch water pipe. So what I did is I had the guy at the Ace to make it where I could bring it home, because I didn't have my trailer with me. I had cut a 10-foot stick and a 11-foot stick and brought it down to the house. I started out, I took it over to my bender, which is on the other pile of this crap. I'll show that to you a little bit later. All I did was kind of play with it, and what I wanted was to stretch out the beach cruiser frame a little bit longer than normal. So what I ended up doing was going 29 inches longer than a normal beach cruiser frame. This is going to be the first one. I do want to make a limo style one, so we're going to make one even bigger than this. Simple, I just put simple bends. Basically, we're going to start like up here. These were almost in the same or approximate location. I had cut this back. I cut the welds loose on both sides, and I cut this where it would actually join the sprocket pedals, whatever you want to call them. Kind of cut everything apart so I had individual pieces, and that's kind of where I started. Now I didn't jig this up, but all my measurements and everything show that this is a true straight frame. Next frame I build, I am going to build a jig, because it is honestly easier to do it with a jig. So just a little really eyeball and measuring. What I ended up starting out with is putting a tape on this back axle and drawing it back to figure out where I wanted the axle. And I figured for this one we're going to go 29 inches. Now this is going to be a little bit different than my last build, because we're not just going just straight motorized like with a 2-cycle engine. What we're going to end up using is this Honda GC160. We're going to use this 5-horse motor. This has been laying around my shop for a while. This came off a pressure washer. I do have a clutch, a centrifugal clutch on the other side. My motor mount plate and everything, a lot of the odd stuff I ordered for this finally came in. So I figured today we're going to start by kind of mocking it up and seeing how the motor is going to have pedals. To keep this thing completely street legal, it has to have pedals. Right now it'll operate the coaster brakes. In the future we are going to switch to a solid mag wheels, possibly disc brakes. So we got options coming up in the future, but right now we're going to just finish mocking this up. So right now I want to run a chain from the back sprocket to around here, and the problem is if I kept this without the engine, the bottom of the chain is going to come from here straight back. It's going to be right there on the motor. So what we're going to do is come down, we're going to divert the chain to approximately here. I figure come down to right about this bottom of this bend, make it come back maybe to another roller. I'm still playing around with everything to figure out the geometry, but we're going to basically keep from about where my hand is at down as much as open as possible so the motor can poke through. So what I figured, I ordered some roller sprockets or idler sprockets, and bicycle chain is kind of hard to find things for. So what I was when I was looking around, I realized I have another motorized bike that's basically for parts. So I got thinking, wow, well, You can tell this sucker's been definitely used up. This was the original idler for this particular bicycle. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and get a set of wrenches. Try and determine which, I think this thing has a lot of play in it. I am going to order some more of these, but right now we're going to use what we have to mock everything up, and we can switch out parts later. So I'm going to go ahead and unbolt this one here, and I'm going to go into the tool room. I have another bicycle there, and we're going to unbolt both of these, bring these parts out, and we'll start scavenging parts to start doing the idler, or the roller sprockets, idler, whatever y'all want to call them, for the chain setup itself. All right, on this fabrication of this thing, we've just run into our first dilemma, and I'm going to show you what I've got. Now, this is a number 40, basically go-kart chain. It will fit on a bicycle sprockets pretty good. Now, the dilemma is I do have bicycle chain, and I have number 40. Well, I have some number 40. I might have to go buy another roll of it. But what it comes down to is I had bought 3 of these. I believe they're idler sprockets. They were like $11.99. They were basically almost half price than what Tractor Supply wants. Tractor Supply is like $21.99. So I basically got these. I can get 2 of these for the price of 1 at Tractor Supply. So I ordered these off eBay, and there's some nice ones. Like, the quality is pretty decent, and what I was thinking, since they're both technically, I believe, a number 40 chain, the only difference is I believe the bicycle chain is a hair narrower than this. But I believe that if we could either, let me break this down. I can get the longer bolts. We can come like right about here and run this one so it brings our chain from here. It'll come down here and give me the motor clearance I want, and use these plastic ones. Or instead of using bicycle chain, we can use number 40 chain, which if I do the number 40, I'll go ahead and get 2 rolls, because that means all the chains on this bike will be number 40 go-kart style. We could turn around and keep it in an industrial style look, go with these. The only thing kind of sucks, well, I guess I could actually set my mounting point up just a hair higher so I keep my ground clearance, because the chain will pass to the bottom side. We can put one here, keep another one maybe somewhere over here, and I believe we only need 2 of the 3 that I bought, or did I buy 4? It's something like that. So what I'm thinking is actually, let's go ahead and actually use these. I kind of want to keep like a industrial style look. So I'm thinking about, we're just going to go ahead and try this. The whole point of tinkering is to see what we can get done. Now, I want to keep this, we're definitely going to keep this rat rod look. So I think I'm going to make an executive decision. I need 2 half-inch bolts. I'm going to look at my stash to see if I have them. If not, I'm going to run to the Tractor Supply down the road and grab 2 boxes of number 40 chain, which will be more than I need, but there's nothing wrong with having extra. I do have some. I'll go ahead and grab a couple extra links. We'll go ahead and keep this thing looking beefy, since I do know what I'm going to do in the future. I want to keep this thing looking like a rat rod. So I think we are going to go ahead and use these instead of those. I'll put these up in my hoard of bicycle parts, or parts in general. So I think what we're going to do, since we've kind of figured that one out for now, we'll go ahead and go to the next move, which, these handlebars. They're baby little, I don't want to even call them baby ape hangers. They were pretty cool. They were better than what was on this beach cruiser, but they're not what I want. Kind of get the general look of the bike. So why don't we put something bigger? Beginning of this year, before all my issues started here at the house and property, I bought these 16-inch ape hangers. Why? Go big or go home. Now that is going to look awesome. Why don't we give me a minute? Let me go ahead and I'll swap these out, and we'll take a look with these installed and those out of the way. Expect 100% of everything to fit just right. I had to put a little nail right here. Just, I guess there's something, there's the center of those bars is a hair fatter right here in the center. So what I'll end up doing is right before I get ready to actually do final assembly, I'm going to come through here, I'll take this bolt out, take the handlebars back off, and I'll turn around and grind this. I'll grind these inside of these lips just a hair to make a little bit bigger of a gap so I can cinch that down. But we got the basic look of the whole bike. I think it's actually starting to look pretty decent. So we didn't get a chance to get started on this. Like I said, I do have to run in town. Well, not into my town, into the actual neighboring city to go to the Tractor Supply, or I can go into another town that's about 20 minutes away from me. Either way, to go hit Tractor Supply up. We'll go ahead and pick up 2 boxes of number 40 chain. I'll grab some 1/2-inch bolts, some washers, so we can go ahead and fab this up. But I figure since we're just throwing stuff on, this is going to be the original throttle and stop button, so I figure we're going to reuse this off the motorized bike. What I did go ahead and purchase, a longer throttle cable, so I figure we might as well mock that up. Now the one thing I do have to do, let me get this out of my hands. If you notice right here where my finger's at, that finger, there's a little nipple that's sticking out, and so I do have to drill a hole. I do have to drill a hole up here on the handlebars, and what it does, it just locks it from moving. So I'm going to go ahead and take care of that. We can at least maybe swap out throttle lines. The wiring I'm not worried about. Somebody's already actually lengthened this and changed it from the original factory, but it does work. I can also check it with a continuity tester, but I know I need to change one of these screws. Let me go ahead, I guess, get the new throttle cable out. I'll go ahead and assemble that on here, and we'll put these bars up, put the throttle on the bars and see how that's going to look. As I get this prepped to go ahead and install the throttle cable and the kill switch setup, keep looking at that ratty seat. I thought about recovering it, but honestly, I keep looking in here to that parts bike, and it looks like it has a nice, good, comfy seat. Since it technically is a parts bike, why don't we go ahead and steal the seat off that? I think that's what my goal is. Let's go ahead and I'll pop that seat off, and we'll move it over here to our custom bike. This thing's just sitting on here now, but looks so much better. Probably drop it down about 1 inch. I don't want to sit too tall, but I don't know. We just might leave it there for final adjustments. That's why everything's just being put on here loose. Mocking it up. Free seat off parts bike. Like my motto goes, I repurpose junk. One man's junk is another man's treasures, because everything can be kind of reused. So I'm trying to see what else we can reuse on this. I went ahead and also I freed the grip from the old small bars. I put them up into my parts stash. I still have to come in here and do this. That's what I'm about to do next. We'll have the throttle line down. And I think the next thing is go ahead and make that parts run. Get that chain and a couple of, I'll probably go ahead and pick up 3 or 4 of the 1/2-inch bolts. We'll go ahead and grab grade 8, some washers, lock nuts. Go ahead and grab all that and get ready to do the chain. Make sure everything is in perfect alignment. That's why I only tack that in, just to make sure everything's got to be in a perfect circle, so that way the chain doesn't jump the sprockets. Since the last couple clips, I've managed to get a little bit done. This is several weeks later, and I'm going to explain why. If you've noticed, I went ahead and got the entire chain done. So the entire pulley system for our chain is complete. I've been looking at this, and I'll be honest, I kind of don't like the height of these pedals. I haven't physically sat on this yet to try it, but like I was stating before, the main reason for our pedals is to keep it technically street legal, because as long as it has a motor source, it's going to be considered pedal assisted. Since the last couple frames, I took the new, now surface rusting, the new plate and that motor, and I was trying it on here And I was going to have to do jack shafts, and I kind of like this industrial look with all the sprockets, but I kind of changed it up. You can see here I have a little 2-stroke motor. This was the original one on the chopper bike. So I decided I was going to maybe go that route, but I decided to go kind of a whole different route. I went ahead and threw the original tank on just to kind of get an idea. Kind of digged it. This is what kind of led me up to what's in that box. So why don't y'all give me a minute. I'm going to go ahead and take this motor off, and we're going to check out what's in that box so we can kind of finish up this build and at least getting it to, I guess, a finished mock-up. And like I said, we had a box, but technically it's boxes inside of a box. So even though I'm kind of trying to stick with my motto, I repurpose junk, if you already kind of noticed, we got a chrome muffler. Ooh. Yeah, we're not going to use that. That's too shiny for what I want to build. But it kind of gives you an indication what I've got. I have an engine. No, this is not the 2-stroke engine. I have plenty of them laying around, and that's originally what I was going to go ahead and do on here, but I wanted to try something different on my channel. I haven't had one of these yet. We start out with the instruction manual. This absolutely has no instructions. It's all a bunch of warnings. And I like the way they've pieced together this thing, because technically this is supposed to be a toolkit bag, but it's got a bunch of nuts and bolts and other hardware, so we're going to stick that there. Now this is what is going to power this new bike. You know what? I wonder if I can do this one-handed. Of course, Chinese are going to use the high quality plastic bag that rips easily. But thank God for a tripod, and here we go. This is what I believe this is a 49cc. Toss that off to the side. This thing actually looks quite amazing. As you notice, there's a pull start, and that's really what I wanted to go with. This is the 4-stroke version of basically what you see all the bicycles I have. They have mostly all 2 strokes, but we decided to go, or I decided to go, with a 4-stroke model with basically a torque converter set up on it. So this will definitely be interesting. Basic little 49 cc's, I believe, is what they stated. Now I forgot exactly how many miles per hour they said this will get you up to, because I know it's all a lie. But I guess what I'm going to do is I'll go ahead and get all of this stuff unboxed, and we're going to pack away the old engine to use it later on another bike. So we'll probably throw everything back in here. Let me get everything packed out. I'll leave it on the bench. I'll show y'all. Then we're going to throw back what we're not going to use. So I didn't kind of unpack everything, but just going roughly where I'm going to keep on here on the table we're going to use. The instruction manual. The only thing it honestly really told me, which I already knew, well, I didn't know, is I needed 10W30. We'll throw that in the box. We need, comes with a brand new, I believe this is a 44 tooth rear sprocket. We have one attached there. For mock-up, we're going to go ahead and use that one, but this will just be a spare. I don't need that. We'll throw that in there. What else we got? This looks like mounting hardware for that. For the engine plate. We have an engine plate because the 4-cycle differ a little than the 2-cycle, so we're going to go ahead and use that engine plate. These are the brackets for it. For right now, you got a chain guard for, it'll be for this side, but right now we don't know what we're going to do, so that's considered put away. Here's the old 2-cycle throttle. We'll keep that in our hoard of parts. We'll go ahead and take, we don't want a chrome exhaust. Not on this. We got a coil. Don't need that. This would be the clutch handle for the 2-stroke. We'll go ahead and put that in there. And now let's get down to some of the nitty-bitty parts. We have new grips. Those are definitely going to be cool. Throttle cable, we don't need it. And the reason I say we don't need this is I'm almost going to be pretty well sure it's going to be too short to reach where I'm going to mount where I'm going to end up mounting this engine, but I will give it a quick test try. If it does come up too short, that's fine, because like in the beginning of the video, we installed a way larger one, and I should have bought one a hair smaller. So we'll go ahead and look at that. We're not going to use this. We're not going to use this one. This is the kill switch, and it holds your throttle assembly. So I think I need to go ahead and actually clean this up a little bit more. I'm going to go ahead and actually wipe off this whole bench. I'll be back with y'all guys. Let me go ahead get all this tidied up a little bit more so I could work, and we're going to go ahead and install all of this together, and I have to go through all these nuts and bolts and pieces and kind of go ahead and finish sorting out what we do need and what we don't need. About 20-30 minutes later, going through all these nuts and bolts, and keep in mind, like I said, I'm glad that I know what I'm doing, because for a novice, there's no instructions. It took me forever. I had to find the little straps, the nuts and bolts, lock washers, etc. for the tank. Had to find the washer. This is like a pre-filter for the tank and the petcock, so I have to screw that in there. It comes at least with a fuel filter. There's a little piece of fuel line. Now this is going to be too short for my application, so I know I have other fuel line laying around. Have no clue what this is. I've never seen one of these in the kits, nor one of these. And like I said, there's multiple other things. I don't know if this would go around the muffler. Like I said, for what I'm going to do, part of this, like all of this hardware right here, is just going to get put back in the bag, and it'll be my extras for the other engines. I do have the motor plate. I had to find its brackets, and they have these screw-in studs. And this plate's kind of unique because you have adjustments on the sides to move this. These are cast steel. Yeah, cast steel blocks that go in and out so they can actually hook up to your frame however it's positioned. Then you have adjustment side to side. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to make this, because I have nothing really to be able to hook up with it. So I get to basically position my motor right where I want it. First thing I'm going to go ahead and do and put away all this hardware. I have right over there, there's a long original, that's the original top tube when I had this from the girls' frame into the boys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to actually slice that in half, mount it there, and I'm going to jig it right in the center of this frame. So I can go ahead and cope the ends to fit around this tube. I'll tack weld it, and what that will do is give me the ability to come back and mount my motor. Then I can position it side to side, line up the gears, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera, because I'm trying not to make this into a couple hour video. So that's going to be the next step. Put this crap away, get that sliced in half, and I can kind of show you how I'm going to custom fit this engine to this bike.